This is the truth review of Need for Speed Rivals, and after looking at other reviews from other critics and other rating sites, I thought, why is this game getting highly praised when I've picked out many flaws in the game that other reviews just don't seem to be doing? Hence the fact that we've called the channel The Truth, because we want to try and give you the best idea and best view of the game without being biased. The first thing that comes to mind is that they were saying that there should be a lot of customization in the game, and yet you go into the in the menu to customize your car, and you're left with realistically three options. You can change what pursuit tech your car has, you can change what color your car is, and you can put some stickers on it, which at the end of the day isn't customization.
Nowhere near like previous Need for Speed standards. I mean, even Underground 2, Most Wanted, even Undercover, they had way more customization than this.
I mean, there's a lot of there's variety. You can, if you are a racer, there is only 5 options of pursuit tech, and you can only get level 1. If you are a police officer, you can get up to 5 levels of pursuit tech, and you have a couple more options, such as the roadblock and the helicopter coming back from the classic Hot Pursuit. But there are other changes to note.
So this game, really, the main one is it's very similar to Most Wanted 2012 and Burnout Paradise, because it's like Hot Pursuit, but with more open worldish. Like Hot Pursuit didn't really have this open world element in it. This one you can really choose what kind of events you want to do more. There's a bit of free roam. There's an incentive to escape if you're the racer. It's not like Most Wanted 2012 where there was no Most Wanted in it. It was just if you get chased by the cops, there's no consequences to it.
And the reason for this is that when you're doing races and when you're doing objectives, or you complete an objective, you will gain what's called speed points, which is kind of your in-game currency, which you can use to buy upgrades, buy pursuit tech, buy new cars if you're a racer, and if you're a cop, you can use to buy pursuit tech, because obviously there's 5 levels for the cops. So you use your speed points, for the cop side, and you buy the cars for the racer side, and that's how they've decided to do it, which works very well actually.
So it's kind of balanced in terms of the currency between cop and racer.
There's a very good balance between it. You're always going to be able to buy what you want. I've been able to buy everything I've wanted from the get-go.
So what's different between this and Hot Pursuit is that it's like Most Wanted 2012. There's no car tiers. So you could start off with one car, and you could use a Dodge Charger against a McLaren F1 LM. Like, it's not really a fair race, is it? But surprisingly, the cars, it doesn't actually seem to matter that much. I mean, the cars don't handle that differently. I know they didn't handle much differently in Hot Pursuit. Unless you played the game for a really long time, there were really subtle differences. But each tier felt very distinct. Tier 4 felt very different to Tier 1.
The reason for this is that you can upgrade your cars, again, 5 levels, in top speed, acceleration, strength, durability, and handling. And you can go up to 5 levels on each one with every single car, and they're all kind of gradual. So on the cop side, you have 3 tiers of car. Not in terms of like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but you have the normal car, and then you have the pursuit car, and you have the enforcer. The undercover.
So you've got like a balanced one that's more focused on strength, one that's more focused on
speed or handling.
Yeah. As I say, the main change in this game is that you can choose your objectives. It's very much more free roam. The leveling system, has more of a point in it.
It's very much a player-driven experience rather than the game telling you what to do. You can pick whatever car you want, and then you pick your own objective. So if you were, say, level 15, you might be expected to win a couple of races at a gold standard level, which would vary depending on what race you decide to do. You might have a specific race, so you might have to win 2 hot pursuits. Then you might have to do 3,000 meters of drafting or drifting, and then you might have to take out 8 races, for example. That might be your total objectives.
Yeah,
and then
progress to the next
and you might want to pick that one, or you might want to pick a different set of objectives.
If you just like doing time trials, you just want pure racing, you can do that instead.
Or if you want to just literally drive around and you want to play the game that way, you can do that if you wish through the objectives and still advance.
The thing is, it's no like Burnout Paradise where you're just gonna go and do crazy stunts, or you're gonna have a plethora of game modes or stuff like that. It's more like realistic. I mean, it's got licensed cars, but it's much more open world than Hot Pursuit was. That's the thing. In terms of the game modes, there's not really anything different from Hot Pursuit.
There's nothing new on the racer side. You've got Hot Pursuit. You have your time trial. Then you have standard kind of race, basically. And then there's another mode.
That sort of stuff, really. You're not going to find any. You're not going to get a huge amount of variety in this game. The car choice is generally very decent. You don't.
It's a big choice.
Yeah, it's all supercars, really. So.
But the main selling point is that Ferraris have returned.
You got Ferraris. So you got the F12 Berlinetta, obviously. You got the Enzo, actually, which wasn't really expected. You got the 458. You got a few there. I think there's 4 or 5 Ferraris in the game. But yeah. So it's not really that far different to Hot Pursuit. The
main kind of mechanical difference is in the actual how the cars drive, as Cena was mentioning. It's that they're very much.
It's more Most Wanted 2012 than Hot Pursuit, driving wise.
And if you've not played Most Wanted 2012, then I would say that it's very much a hold down the trigger kind of game, whereas Hot Pursuit was more of a hold down the trigger and control your drift.
Yeah,
it was very much a drift controlled kind of game.
It was a kind of more try and do it as kind of perfectly as possible in a way, but like really easy. Whereas this
is more, if you don't crash, you'll win.
It's really heavy. It's a very, very heavy handling game, like Most Wanted 2012. But what's the difference is, because Most Wanted 2012, it was more kind of tight streets and stuff. It felt much more intense. You actually got the sense of speed, whereas in this game, there's really no sense of speed compared to Hot Pursuit. There's none of that excitement at all. It doesn't matter what car you drive. Whether you could drive a Veyron, you could drive an SRT 8.
You could drive a Porsche 911. It will make no difference.
Yeah, it's far too easy. The game does not provide a challenge whatsoever. You could pick the slowest car in the game. You could pick the hardest time trial in the game, the most unsuitable track, driving in the snow, and you could still get the gold if you just don't crash.
And Cena's led on to the point that the developers promised that having different weather effects, which they have got. There is snow, there is rain, there is different varying degrees.
Had that, actually.
And they said that it was going to
drastically affect the handling.
It really doesn't have any effect at all, or no noticeable effect.
To be honest, even like Need for Speed Undercover seemed to have better driving mechanics in that sense. So really, it's a false promise. There's other issues with the game, like if you get it on PC, for example, it's locked at 30 frames a second. It's 30 frames a second on all platforms, actually, for the game. But it's the thing is, it's not the best use of Frostbite 3. It's not the most visually impressive game you're going to see. And on there's plenty of glitches with that, actually. Sometimes textures don't load. The road doesn't load. You could
randomly having a car, especially an AI car, when they go over a jump to try and escape you, and they kind of just keep falling and falling into the hole, and you eventually have to quit the event.
Because the thing is, it's if you crash, it's one of those games where it starts you off at a certain speed. So it'll start you off say you crashed, and then it'll start you off again at like 50 miles an hour, and you will literally, because it starts you off at that, you can't stop and you'll just keep crashing again and again and again. So it's got its fair share of issues, which Hot Pursuit really didn't have. Hot Pursuit, every time you took down a racer, for example, yeah, it cut to the camera, but I never had any problems where it went to this cutscene and I crashed. It was perfectly programmed. This doesn't seem to have that quality, that production value that Hot Pursuit did. This seems much more of a rush job, to be honest.
So, to summarise our points, and to suggest whether you should buy the game or not, first and foremost, if you're after a game which is going to entertain you and give you the kind of same experience that you may have received on Hot Pursuit, so you'll have the same kind of races and with a very good variety of cars.
Or you missed out on Hot Pursuit 2010 altogether, which was a fantastic game, to be honest. Then this you might want to give this a shot if you've just bought an Xbox One or a PS4 and you're interested in playing a racing game. This might not be a bad choice. It's a very casually focused racing game. There's no challenge in it whatsoever. It's quite repetitive, but if you're just after a bog standard racing game, to be honest, there's absolutely nothing that this game does that stand out. If you're just after a bog standard racing game for an Xbox One or a PS4 that runs at 1080p, then this game is the one to go for. But if you're after something special, or you've played Hot Pursuit 2010, or you're thinking this is going to be an amazing Need for Speed game, it really isn't. It's nowhere near like as good as other Need for Speed games. It's not really got anything to offer. And if you're thinking of buying it for PC, I'd strongly recommend avoiding it because it's not a well optimized game at all.